So look, you've been coming here around 20 years. You've got 26 years under your belt as NHL commissioner, longest standing commissioner of any pro sports league. What's the biggest change you've seen in the sports media landscape in that time?
I think the opportunities to connect with our fans in new and different ways, new technologies, digital platforms, social media, and with millennials and Gen Zs focusing on entertainment and sports in particular a little bit differently, we have to make sure we're connecting with our fans on their terms.
And that's going to become a very relevant question in the next couple of years as your current rights deal runs out, I think, in 2 seasons. What's the play there? If you do have a direct consumer bid come in at a better rate than anyone else, is that the right option, even if it means fewer eyeballs?
I think it's most important that you connect with your fans and you reach them in the broadest possible ways. Maybe that's multiple carriers, multiple platforms, but at the same time, you want to maximize the value. So it's a balancing act, and that's something that over the next year we'll focus on.
How do you do that? What does that actually look like?
What it looks like is a model where you can schedule games in a way nationally, because most of our games are televised locally. We have 1,271 regular season games and 90 plus or minus playoff games. But what you want to do is make sure you're maximizing your marquee matchups, your marquee events, and you want to make sure that they're being covered appropriately. That they're being promoted in a first-class way. We've been very fortunate that NBC has been our partner, both on cable and over the air, and they've been a great partner for at least the last decade. And we do direct-to-consumer, and NHL.TV is streamed by Disney streaming services, which was originally BAMTech's through Major League Baseball. So we've tried to make sure that we're touching all the bases, and that continues to evolve.
And another relatively near-term issue, at least on the horizon, 2022, is the collective bargaining agreement coming up. Where are the players and the owners in the league most aligned at the moment?
I think we all believe that the game has been growing. We have a partnership, 50-50 partnership with our players. The collective bargaining agreement has this season and 2 more coming up, although we and the Players Association each have a reopener that either can exercise in September. But I think our relationship is cordial, professional, and maybe the most cooperative it's been in my entire tenure.
Well, and let's just talk also about the sort of concussion in the sport. That's obviously become a much bigger issue over the last 10 years, much more awareness around that. How do you as a league deal with that? And crucially, how do you deal with it without making the sport sort of too soft and friendly?
Well, first of all, player safety is of paramount importance to us, and I'm assuming the other sports leagues. And we've been very focused on diagnosing concussions, return to play decisions after there's been appropriate treatment. And that science and medicine continues to evolve, and we try to stay on top of that.
And it's not a question of trying to legislate to make the game less physical.
Well, the game is physical, very physical. It's also as fast and as skillful as it's ever been, and you want to strike the right balance. Our competitive balance is extraordinary, maybe the best in all of sports. Any team has an opportunity to make the playoffs. Once the playoffs begin, anything can happen. And if you think about last season, the St. Louis Blues had the worst record in the league in the middle of our season, and they go on to make the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup.
Let's just end on this. We've had a lot of news recently about women's sports. Obviously, the success of the women's football team has been paramount among that. It's also been overshadowed, though, by the questions around equal pay and why that's still not happening. We're here in Sun Valley, the biggest commissioners in all of the major leagues in the U.S. sports. What's the conversation like about what those leagues could be doing to improve that equality? Well,
we've very much focused on women's hockey and the development, particularly at the grassroots level and through the colleges. We have a relationship with Hockey Canada and USA Hockey. We've been supportive of the women's teams. There is one professional league that plans on operating a season, and we're watching very closely what goes on. But in terms of supporting the women's game, we've been very much involved, including having a couple of the women players play or participate at the skills competition at our All-Star game in San Jose last January.